All right, we'll go from the US to the UK. And who is Sir Keir Starmer, the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and how will things change? Joining me live is former Australian-British Chamber of Commerce CEO and UK expert David McCredie. David, welcome. We had you on the program before the election. We sort of knew that they were going to win Labor. They've done it in emphatic fashion, particularly from an optics perspective.
Yeah, and to be honest, Tim, without patting myself too much on the back, I think we saw exactly the sort of result that we talked about, which was that the split of the right-hand side of the vote between the Reform Party that performed really well in a lot of seats, in fact, came second in quite a number of the seats that Labor won, really divided the right-hand side of politics vote, meant that the Conservative incumbents had no chance of holding on. Reform never really had a chance in a lot of those seats to get up because of that split of the vote. And Labor, actually, when you look at their vote broadly across the country, in many places it didn't really change that much. It was just that the right-hand side of the vote got torn in two. And the other really interesting part was the Lib Dems, who are the nice people in the middle, if you like. I don't like Labor enough to change my Conservative vote to Labor. I'll vote Lib Dem. They went up by 50 seats. So a really strong performance for them, their best effort.
Sir Keir Starmer, we've heard a little bit about him this morning, 61 years of age, father of two, obviously a high-profile lawyer. Tell me more.
Yeah, so look, I think Sir Keir Starmer's done an incredible job when you look at the state of the Labor Party when Jeremy Corbyn left being the leader of the opposition after the last election. Keir Starmer had to rebuild the whole franchise into something that was believable by the British public as something other than a quite left-wing and big government entity into something which was believable and would be approachable by the general populace. I think the interesting thing is he probably hasn't done enough to give us a great hope for a shining new age of Britain. He's done enough to win the election. And I think we talked about that too, a current comparison to the Albanese win. Not promising, not over-promising, but just promising to try and change the tack and get on a more even keel going forwards.
It's a bit of it's a bucking the trend in Europe, isn't it? Because we're seeing right-wing in Italy in government. We're seeing the right-wing movement in France, Germany. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, Italy as well. Look, that certainly seems to be the case. I think the interesting thing in the UK is you could probably argue that Reform's success is down that line, but having had such a strong centre-right government for 14 years, the first 5 of which was in a coalition, but particularly since Boris won with an 80 seat.
There's some crazy years in there too.
I
know
the politics
you mentioned they did some good things, but there were some crazy years.
Well, I mean, when you have a Prime Minister in Liz Truss who basically dropped an economic bombshell with Kwasi Kwarteng's financial statement, those sorts of things are hard to come back from. And when you think back when you think about election campaigns, it's not what you've done that people vote for. It's the things that when you're in government, it's the things that you did really badly that people remember you for. They'll remember them for Boris and Partygate. They'll be remembered for Liz Truss not lasting more than the length of a lettuce. They remember those sorts of things much more than they'll remember actually the really sound financial position that Rishi has brought them to in terms of controlling inflation, having inherited quite a mess after Liz Truss's tenure. But also just the stability that the Conservative Party have actually provided in the last 20 months, which has been a really incredibly difficult period across the world. But it'll be really interesting to see how Keir Starmer actually lines up some of his policy changes. The immigration issue isn't going to go away. Some of the other issues that the Tories were on the path to solving for, he's going to have to bring in his team really quickly, get them on the front foot and get them addressing those issues really quickly. Otherwise, we'll see him slide sideways in the opinion polls pretty quickly.
Apart from New Zealand, and we're like brothers and sisters, it's not too dissimilar to the United Kingdom. We're very, very close. Does this change anything?
between Australia and the UK? Not really. I was watching your coverage yesterday and I saw my good friend Alexander Downer, who used to be the High Commissioner in the UK, talking about the fact, and indeed Albanese as well, but being quoted that, I think that was in relation to the US, but the same is true amongst the AUKUS countries. It doesn't matter which side of politics you're on. It doesn't matter who is who. We are friends above and beyond the individuals, the personalities and the political persuasion of those individuals in our relationships. And with AUKUS underpinning things, our free trade agreement, the things that we're trying to do together in the world, Australia and the UK are in very good, very safe place going forward.
Good to see you, Dave.
Thanks, Tim.
Appreciate it.